Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're doing good and well. So for this Wednesday night's premiere, I'm going to be doing a sort of one-off topic here where, a while ago I had an idea for a video and I was thinking about how maybe during certain points of the year you're more likely to listen to certain sorts of music, maybe a seasonal thing if you like. Now I'm not sort of, saying that, you should listen to this sort of music because it's this time of year. I mean, that's ridiculous. I always think, listen to whatever you want, whatever point of the year it is. But I thought it would just make an interesting video to sort of think to myself, to challenge myself to do this for a bit of fun. Try to match up certain subgenres to certain months by, maybe what happens in that month. As I'm based in the UK, we have all sorts of weather here throughout the year. It's pretty random actually, but you sort of think of certain seasons here, maybe with certain kinds of music, particularly certain subgenres of metal come to mind with certain calendar months of the year. So that's this challenge, is I've got to match a metal subgenre to each calendar month of the year. And we're going to start obviously with January and work my way all the way through to December. And I guess the rules here are perhaps just one subgenre per month. I'm going to challenge myself, just one subgenre of metal or maybe rock per month. So for me, we're going to start with January. January was the easiest month for me to decide. For some reason, I immediately thought January, it's dark, it's wet, it's cold. Well, it's especially cold usually here. It's miserable. Everyone's got the January blues. There's only one subgenre for January for me. That is funeral doom. Funeral doom metal. Bell Witch. Get the Bell Witch on. It's dark outside. It's freezing cold. Everyone's miserable. No one wants to talk to each other. Well, okay, this is bleak, all right, but I'm justifying that I think January is good for funeral doom. For Shape of Despair, maybe. Something like that. Turn it on really loud. Super atmospheric. Cheer yourself up in January with Shape of Despair. That's what I'm saying. February. Now, February is a little bit brighter, just a little bit. People get a little bit more cheery. Maybe get a bit more romantic for Valentine's Day. You have things just feeling a little bit more exciting in the year by February. Things start to take shape through the rest of your year, and maybe that's rubbish, I don't know, but for me it's the case where February, I feel maybe a bit more momentum starts to build into your year. And I was thinking, well, I want something a bit more exciting for February, but still dark, still cold. So I thought black metal, right? Black metal, like the likes of Dark Medieval Times, Transylvanian Hunger, the classics like that. Maybe something like Frost by Enslaved. Perfect album cover image, I guess, for February. For me, Frost. And February for me is black metal. Traditional, maybe more black metal than all the different subgenres of black metal, but black metal, I would say, for February. Ugh. Next up, we've got March, and March for me is melodeath, and here's why I think melodic death metal is good for March. March, you really start to find things brightening up. Things are, the days are starting to get a little longer. Spring is approaching a bit more. March has a bit more of a spring in its step, therefore, I guess. It feels like things get maybe a bit more exciting. I mean, every year I always find for me March, social things quite happen a bit more for me by this time of year. I find it's a bit more of it's just a bit more of an interesting month, and I need something lively to propel me forwards into the spring. And melodic death metal, I just feel, does that job. At the gate, Stark Tranquility, all the Swedish mellow death bands, at the gate, Stark Tranquility, In Flames. Soilwork, of course, one of my favourites, maybe my favourite actually of those. March, Melodeath March. Next up is April. Things start to become beautiful in April. The spring arrives, hopefully, not always. Sun's out more often. It's a little less cold. It starts to get a bit warmer, ideally, in the UK here. So I'm thinking that for the season of spring, much more in April. Still get quite a lot of rain. We get a lot of rain in the UK all year round, to be honest. So, depending on where you are in the world, this may be a totally different sort of list because you may have different, cycles of climate and all of that sort of stuff. But for me, April is symphonic metal. and I'll explain, because I think it's just got that brightness to it. It's epic. April is epic. Everything's growing, blossoming, um, and for me, those kind of, think if you're, I do think of my kind of female vocalist led symphonic metal bands like Nightwish, Epica, Within Temptation for spring. Just epic sounding orchestral stuff for spring. It has to be. Think a bit of classical music actually for spring as well. I think of Stravinsky right of spring. So that's my choice, symphonic metal for April. May, I'm thinking, right, now everyone's really kind of getting into their strides, towards late spring, heading towards summer now. Things are really brightening up. People again, maybe, for me, I find May is one of the happy months of the year for me, actually. Why? Perhaps it is because things brighten up with the weather generally here, and longer days start to come, and people, generally, I find May as a month of the year is quite people are happy. Power metal, therefore, I've chosen for May, with Stratovarius, Dragonforce, Blind Guardian. There's some names I'm throwing out there as, some of the classic power metal bands to listen to maybe in the month of May. Next up, June. And this was the one month I found really difficult on this list. I was thinking, well, June is kind of start of summer, you have festival season coming. In a lot of cases, lots of people start going to lots of gigs. Beautiful weather starts arriving, hopefully. Even in the UK, sometimes you do get some hot weather. But it tends to be quite often rain. I chose metalcore here, and it's the one subgenre that I'm thinking, why metalcore in June? And to me, it's generally heavy, there's lots of breakdowns. Summer energy is lively to me. It's lively, it's exciting, and that's generally the theme for my summer months, because next up in July, I've gone for thrash metal. Thrash metal, like the big four bands. I'm thinking of festivals, but in July, you're really into the middle of summer. So you've got people out, t-shirts and shorts, baseball caps maybe, the thrashers are out in numbers, so I've gone thrash metal. I'm thinking of people crowd surfing in the middle of summer at those gigs, those open air festivals, all that kind of stuff. With Power Trip, maybe some of the newer thrash bands, playing Power Trip, Havoc, rest in peace Riley Gale, of course, of Power Trip, Evil, some of my favourite newer age thrash metal bands there. So that's July. August, kind of getting a bit more towards the end of summer here in the UK. And you have, for me, classic new wave of British bands, the August. That may be because I saw Iron Maiden in August a fair while ago now. So that's kind of, that memory is there. But I just think as well, like, there's something, late summer is kind of, you're just getting towards a slight nostalgic feel. So classic metal kind of factors in a bit for that reason as well. September for me is where I go slightly outside of metal, because one of my favourite genres, you all know this, you all know that I love shoegaze. September for me is like, you're coming out of summer, it's a reflective time. It's a really reflective time of the year. It's a beautiful time of the year with the sunsets you get in September here anyway. Really, really kind of stunning scenes, I think, to look at. And everything's sort of kind of beautiful, a bit like early spring, I guess. Everything's sort of winding down a bit. It's a sort of, sometimes a quite very nostalgic time, I think. And shoegaze just feels perfect. I mean, maybe by this point in the year, you're looking back on your crazy summer or something, or a lively summer. It's time to slow down now. The autumn's coming, the winter months are coming. Shoegaze is just magic for this time of year. The beautiful sunsets, everything like that, all the scenes, all the memories that you start to think about that time of year, it all comes flooding back. Shoegaze is the only answer for me, September. I'm getting carried away, but yeah, there we go for September. October, I've chosen, I'm kind of thinking Halloween, right? October, Halloween, costumes. So I was kind of thinking something theatrical, and I was thinking, well, maybe Gothic metal for October for me suits quite well. Nights start to go longer, days get shorter. very much autumn season with falling leaves. For me, kind of old school Catatonia comes in a bit here. Theatre of Tragedy. I'm thinking got really gothic, really atmospheric stuff for this month. Typo Negative maybe on the gothic side, something maybe a little bit more, a little different there, but all kinds of just dark gothic stuff for October and for Halloween for me. But with that kind of, dark dress sense too to suit Halloween, I guess. November, so we really get into where we are now, or where we are at the point of me filming this video anyway. For me, November, I was one of the ones I thought of quite quick. I was like, old school death metal feels good in November. You're getting towards the end of the year a bit more. Things are getting colder again, darker, but you've still got the energy, I think, a bit. You want to finish the year on a high. It's kind of November. You want to, before you get to the festive season, you want a last flourish in the year. So it's kind of dark, but it's lively. So old school death metal for me is right for November. Last of all, we've got December, the festive season, obviously in December coming up. Only one choice for me for this month. I just thought folk metal straight away. That kind of celebratory style, that sort of upbeat style to a lot of folk metal. Of course, it can be quite sad, melancholic, all kinds of moods in folk, as with a lot of these subgenres. I'm just thinking like Corpiclani Elverti, who I saw very recently at the Forum in London, Fintroll, just something folky about the festive season, isn't there? So I went with folk metal for December. So let me know, this crazy idea I had, let me know which subgenres would be for your months of the year, if you had to, because you don't have to, but if you had to, which subgenre would you pick for each month of the calendar year? Anyway, for me, thanks very much for watching as always. Hope you enjoyed this premiere. Otherwise, from me, till next time, take care everybody. Bye for now.